Hi guys, welcome to another live stream. How are you guys doing? Good morning, good night, good evening, good afternoon. Where are you guys watching from? You guys ready? Are you guys ready? Today we're gonna have a really interesting exercise. Hi Mert. We are gonna be working on a scene that one of our students submitted for this past weekend's portfolio review. Blender, it's good, man. It's good. And all of the things that I'm gonna be doing here in Blender can be done inside of Maya or any other software. Like, I'm not gonna be using any like Blender specific things. So the idea is to show you guys how we can improve a scene. In this case, since the student originally made this scene here inside of Blender, I'm gonna remain like true to the model, and we're gonna be doing it here inside of Blender. But you can do this in any software. There we go. Minnesota, nice. I had a friend who was from there at school. I think he was from Minnesota. Pretty sure. A little bit of coffee in the morning. My favorite coffee is actually Tim Hortons, but it's pricey, right? Like you can't buy one Tim Hortons coffee every day. So did I change? Yeah, I think I did change it a little bit. Let me go. That should be a little bit better. I did some movement back here because I had to record something for a different job, and I couldn't have these things right here. So, but yeah, I'll bring everything back at the end of the stream. Hello, Nikhil. Hello, Sikatre. Hello, Varjasin. Here we go. So, for those of you that are unaware, during the this past weekend we had our Uganda. Great. Hi, Morse. We had a portfolio review. This is a series that we have every month here in the channel, where you guys submit your portfolios and I give you feedback about what things could be improved to generate something that's a little bit better. So this was submitted by one of our students during the weekend, and I told him, hey, you know what? Like, this is a really cool. It's a really cool thing. It's a really cool scene. But we need to improve it because it looks very basic right now, and it should be a fairly easy improvement. So I'm gonna be going from Sweden. Matthias, nice. Switzerland. One of our dreams for my wife and me is to go to Switzerland because we have a Bernese mountain dog. His name is Thor. You've probably seen him. Thor, ven. Ven para acá. Toma. Ven. Let's see if I can focus him. There he is. Acá. So we want to go to his home country, and I think they're from Switzerland. ¿Verdad que soy Thor? That's Thor. One of our dogs. So yeah. Sibim says, man, I just saw a thread showing the topology of Garden of Banban's models. I'm traumatized. Yeah, like I was traumatized when I saw Shang-Chi's movie, the Marvel movie. I was seeing some making-ofs, and they showed the density of the topology that they're using. My God, it's just freaking crazy. Well, anyway, let's go into the 3D stuff. So this is the model that was submitted, and there's a lot of things here that I wanna like modify, and I'm gonna be going through why we do this and the reason why we wanna like improve the scene. First of all, if we go to the render of the whole scene, we're gonna see this right here. And what I'm seeing here is that we have a lot of point lights, as you can see. So we have 14 point lights, and usually, unless there's a very good reason to have this many lights, the less lights you have with more control will give you a better result. I have yeah, there we go. I have the hunch that one issue that we have on this scene is that we don't have an HDRI. And HDRIs are really important for anything that has to do with reflections. So if we have glass, if we have water, if we have all of these things, we need to have HDRIs. So I'm gonna start by deleting all of this guys right here, all of the point lights, and I'm gonna download an HDRI. So you guys know that my favorite site to get free HDRIs is Polyhaven. And if we go here to Polyhaven and we go to HDRI, we have all of these HDRIs here. Now, I think I want to go for something warm. Like this one right here looks cool. I don't want to go for a super soft effect. I want to go for something a little bit nicer. Even this one, like golf course sunrise, looks really nice because I imagine this... I imagine this boat being on like the window of a house or something, and we'll get like a really nice like a really nice construction from there. So I'm gonna go inside of Blender. We go to this option right here, which is the what's the word? The world option, the scene option, and in the surface under color, we can add this thing which is called an environment texture. Now we open, and if we go to downloads, we're gonna be able to have our Guardian course. There we go. So now, as you can see, like just doing that, and we immediately get something that looks a little bit nicer because the light is giving us a more realistic, well, like look through it. Let's see. 100 Evil Eye says, I want to buy and add my collection new to anime course, a stylized sculpting ZBrush course, but I need the discount. It's a good course. Well, I'm not sure if we're gonna be having a discount soon, to be honest. I'm not in charge of like the whole marketing strategy, so that's up to Naleen, but I'll ask him. So right now it's on our station. I'm not sure if it's on Skillshare and Udemy yet, but it's a good course. The character is really fucking cool. I said the F word. I think I shouldn't have done that. Otherwise, our stream is going to be marked as only for adults. There we go. So this is the first step. As you can see, we get something that looks really, really nice. The next step, and this is something that I always tell you guys, like if you're gonna listen to something throughout the stream, this is one of the most important things. Whenever you're doing a scene, it's important to have that scene in context, okay? What do I mean by this? Things do not exist just like on their own everywhere. They are usually somewhere, okay? So what we do here is I'm gonna press Shift A, I'm gonna add a plane, and this is gonna represent a table that we're gonna be having, okay? So I wanna have a table right here, and I'm gonna press Shift D to duplicate, rotate on the X-axis, like that. Oh. And this is gonna be a wall. I'm gonna press G, and on the C-axis, I'm gonna move it up, and then on the Y-axis, I'm gonna move it back. I'm gonna scale this on the X-axis. I'm also gonna scale this on the X-axis. And what I wanna do is, as I mentioned, I wanna have like a nice shot of this whole thing. Let's go to the camera. Here's one thing I like to do for my cameras, because I hate when they don't move. I'll go to view, press N and go to view. And then if you change camera to view, now wherever you move the camera, that's what we're gonna have. Let's go to the, okay, we do have full HD, but we have, look at this. We have a really, really, really like high or low focal length, and that could be problematic. 55, let's go to 24. Oh, 24 is way too much. 50 is fine. There we go, something like this. So that's gonna be my shot. And eventually I wanna have a window over here, but we'll add the window in just a second. So as you can see, guys, this already gives us a really, really nice warm look to the whole scene. So light is very, very, very important. Let's answer some questions. 3D Learner says, I love 3D, but sometimes I get in a doubt that should I be able to earn more with 3D or not? Well, it depends. Do you have another career right now, 3D Learner? If you have another career and you tell me what it is, it might be a little bit easier for me to tell you. But there is good money to be made in the 3D world. Like it's not a bad element. Hello, Abraham. Dr. Mahan, this is not a Christian channel. Well, not exactly. How many times required to become a professional 3D modeler in Maya? I would say about 2 years. 2 years of continuous study should be more than enough. Matthias says, when you animate, do you use a mouse or a tablet? A mouse. What GPU do you have? I have a NVIDIA 3080 Ti. I got this one last year. I actually would love to go back in time and wait a couple more months because I got it when the prices were still like quite high. Not as high, but they were quite high. Okay, so let's go back to wireframe mode or to just like solid mode, and let's talk about topology because this is important. So for instance, this one right here, this model that was modeled, is actually a really good model. If we take a look at the wireframe, it is like fairly usable. However, one of the things that we missed is adding just a very simple subdivision surface, which is pretty much like what we do in Maya when we add the number 3. What we do here with this is we just smooth it. We smooth it out so that we get a more like interesting effect. Now, if we go to render mode, you can see that the crystal is going to look even better. Okay, it's going to look really nice. I'm going to go to the material itself. You can see that this thing has a material assigned to it, and we should have an index of refraction of 1.5. 1.5 is the like usual index of refraction that we need for a glass surface, for a glass element. So that's what I'm doing here to get something that looks a little bit better. Then I need to make sure that the transmission is set to 1. Because transmission is what's actually going to be giving us the sort of effect that we're going for. Other than that, I don't think we need anything else, to be honest. Let me take a look here. Roughness. Where's the roughness? Okay, I'm gonna remove the roughness, and I'm gonna go with a float value. Actually, let's just start from scratch. So I'm gonna delete that material. Let's create a new material, and now we do it again. So first, index of refraction, that's fine. Transmission, we're gonna bring it all the way up, and then a roughness, we're gonna bring it down. There we go. See, that gives us an even better and more realistic looking glass, which is what we're going for. So again, just a very simple tweaks to the material, and this thing is already going to be giving us a really nice result. We can bring the roughness even lower, 0.001 for instance, so super low, something like that. And now the water, we're going to do something very similar. I'm going to select the water that we have right there. I'm also going to delete that material, create a new one. I'm going to make this transmission on again, and the roughness down. That's going to give us the sort of like liquid water that we're seeing right there, which is also going to refract things. Now this one right here, let's isolate it just a second, and let's take a look at the wireframe. Yeah, so this is one issue with water, and it's a very common issue, and that is the fact that when people mold water, they create this very weird looking shape. So first of all, I'm gonna go to, I'll answer some questions in just a second. So I'm gonna go to this guy, I'm gonna inset the border a little bit like this, and then this edge right here, like the whole edge, there we go. I'm gonna bevel it. This is not the cleanest model. This is not the cleanest model, to be honest. It could be improved a bit, but something like that should work. And now we're gonna go to the modifiers, and we're also gonna add a subdivision surface modifier. That should look a little bit better. Now let's go to render. There we go. Now, if we want this to have a little bit of tint, which is like color, we can just go either here to the actual color of the element. So I'm gonna go for this sort of like turquoise water right there. There we go. It's really nice. Okay, let's answer some questions. More say, can you make this scene in Maya? We're gonna do it in Blender today. Maybe we'll do it in Maya, but it's pretty much, again, it's the same thing. Like, the only thing that changes is where to find the things, but we would still be changing like the, what's the word? We would still be changing like the materials and stuff like that. So I would say it's pretty much the same thing, okay? I'm gonna delete this wall for now so we can see, there we go. So we can see a little bit clearer inside of the glass. Let's see. Can you talk more about focal length in camera settings? Because I don't know how that works. Yes. So here's a quick overview of camera settings. So focal length is a property of traditional cameras where the distance between the lens and the focal point, where it focuses the images, changes, right? So there are, as you know, a lot of different lenses, like the telephoto lenses that are really big, the wide lenses that are really short. So depending on which type of lens you use, the image will look slightly different. This is a perfect example. This one right here is using a very low focal length. So you're gonna get more in the image, but it's gonna be more distorted. This one is using a longer focal length. You're getting a flatter image, but it's also making it look a little bit nicer. So depending on what kind of things you are going for, you might want to change focal length. Usually is the lower the focal length, the more stuff that's going to fit on the image, but the more distorted it's going to be. The longer the focal length, so the bigger the lens, the less objects you're going to be able to fit on your camera, but the more like flat they're going to look. So for portraits, I always recommend like a 55 and 80 millimeter because it's very like flattering for the face. For environments or little things like this, I recommend a low focal length like what we have right now. Okay. So yeah, let's go here to the camera. So right now the camera, if we take a look at the camera, we're using a 50 millimeter focal length. So it's not super low, but it's also not super wide. There we go. So that's the glass material. As you can see, that really changes the stuff. It makes it look really interesting. It actually like is showing us that distortion that we would expect to see on the different elements. So this is what we want. However, there's one thing that's happening here. If I go to the render settings, you can see that I am using Cycles, which is a really like powerful rendering engine, and we are using GPU to make this work. Okay. Now, if we go down here, I believe it's on light paths. Yeah, on light paths. Light paths are how powerful the rays that we're using are gonna go through the objects. And you can see, for instance, here on the water, we have some dark areas, and those dark areas can be avoided if we start bringing this light paths up a little bit. So if we go like double what we have, as you can see, we're gonna be able to see more of the stuff through the water like this. These dark things are not going to be as prominent because we're giving the rays more depth so that they can go through all of the materials. It's very important. Can we add a little displacement in water? We could. I don't have a displacement map right now. Let me finish the rest of the elements that I want to fix with this one, and then we'll see if we can add some displacement. Dr. Manhattan says, hey Abraham, I'm doing your CyberDuck course. I can't shake the feeling that doing him in Blender would be so much faster though, but great course for the technical plugin. Yeah, it might be, especially if you're using some of the plugins. Like I know Blender has some really cool like modeling plugins, and it might be a little bit faster. But yeah, it depends on the software. Matthias says, next course, animation in Maya for gaming? No. Next course is the Sci-Fi Girl. We're doing hard surface modeling instead of ZBrush and a lot of really cool stuff. 3D Learner says, I'm stuck in a cycle of a perfectionist and want to be pro 3D artist. My thought partners are like, if I'm not a pro 3D, so I can able to be one. No, you don't need to be a pro. You just need to be proficient. So I've talked about this before. There's this curve. You guys have all seen it, like the Bell curve. And if you take like every single person on the world that knows 3D, most of the persons or the people are going to be here. You're going to have your top 1%, which are like the best 3D artists. You're also going to have a top bottom percent, which are artists that suck at 3D, that are really bad. None of you guys are here, like none of you. All of you, and we are all in this area. I would say as long as you're like at this point, you can start getting some jobs. And most of me and my friends and everyone were like in this area right here. I do know a couple of people that are like really freaking good, but most of us are gonna be here, and it's perfectly fine. This is like the professional area to be, and that's the area where most professionals are, and you're totally fine if you're there. Okay, let's take a look at these pieces right here. These pieces right here are not bad, but they're a little bit soft, as you can see right here. Like the topology is a little bit wrong because it looks very sharp on this area. So I'm gonna go to the front view, and if we go to the to this area right here, one thing that I would like to do is I would like to make this surface a little bit rounder, because usually these things are made out of wood, and you cut it in such a way that it holds the bottle really nicely. And this is not holding the bottle really nicely right now. So I'm gonna go to my knife brush. I'm gonna include occluded geometry, and I'm gonna cut straight through it like that. And if we take a look at the wireframe, it should have cut it. Oh, actually, let's remove occluded geometry. There we go. And I'm just gonna cut right there. And it should cut on both sides, as you can see right there. I'm gonna add one there. And I'm gonna add one here. I'm gonna add one there. And I'm gonna add one here. Oh, there we go. Then, going back to this guy, I am gonna go to selection. I'm gonna go to vertex, and all of this vertex right here, I'm gonna move them so we start creating something that looks a little bit more curved. See that? That's gonna give us the sort of like curvature that we're going for. And since it's a model that's not gonna be like animated or deformed, even though the topology is not the cleanest, it's fine. It'll work just fine. Of course, to this, guys, I'm also gonna be adding a subdivision surface modifier to make it softer. And as you can see, that should hold the bottle a little bit closer. Now, I think we're definitely gonna need to go back here to the model and utilize the bottle as a reference to know where to push this guy exactly. Oh, careful here. We need to go to wireframe mode so we can select both sides. Let's see. Burkanudin says, hello Raham, how can I take proper concept art for modeling? Sometimes I get confused from where I start if I take any concept reference, and then I literally start also that concept and in between, and you get stuck. Yeah, I would say that's one of like the most important skills for a 3D artist, like being able to see a what's the word? To see a concept piece and know whether or not it's viable. That's why for the last couple of series I've been asking my friend Ed Fox to help us with the concept pieces, because that way I know that what we're modeling can be modeled and makes sense. If you want to learn your own, or if you want to become a concept artist or learn a little bit about concept art, I actually don't think we have a course right now for that, but just like taking basic like perspective classes and stuff like that should be a good starting point. Let's see. Any tips for making lots of wires in a scene? Curves. Use curves and then use the sweep mesh inside of Maya. That usually is a good way to do it. Barjasin says, Abraham, I started watching the Lion bot tutorial and it's really nice. I often have the same ideas as you regarding the modeling of parts, especially on the Lion's reel. There you go. Yeah, as I mentioned frequently on that course, the main idea is to understand what the goal or what the objective is for whatever modeling you're trying to do, and then get there. I mentioned this in the video, but I had a teacher that said that in the 3D world, you usually have like 3 or 4 different ways in which you can get to the same result. So it really doesn't matter which one you use, as long as you get to the result, okay? Let's see. Nice, yeah. Send the model, Burjasin. I'll be happy to take a look at it. And yeah, eventually, I think like in the middle of this year, I want to do a rigging tutorial for the lion and an animation one as well, so that we can actually like bring him to life. How to make more spider webs in Maya? Asks Mr. Rajesh. I'll answer in just a second. Give me some. Let me just answer the other questions, and I'll be right with you. Morse says, I need some advice. Just from high school and I aced my finals, so my parents want me to go pursue engineering, but I'm not interested in engineering. Been interested in 3D art for 3 years now. Will I be able to learn both 3D art and engineering? Yes, there's a lot of people that do 3D art for engineering. It's usually more into like the functional 3D side of things, so you might want to look into like a Reno and like manufacturing processes and stuff like that. But there are industrial designers who design machines in 3D and robots and stuff. It's not the exact same thing as what we do here in the entertainment industry, but it's very similar. So if you want, or if you have to be an engineer, that could be a good option. Bunty says, hey Abraham, any course for texturing like League of Legends? Not yet, but we are thinking about something like that. Cruz says, studying the Thyros character creation course now. It's taking me time, but learning a lot. Thank you, man. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing that one. As for your question, Mr. Rajesh, yes, look, there is a a plugin. I haven't bought it because it's a little bit expensive. It's $40, so it's like 800 pesos. That's a little bit too much, but this seems to be like the best way to do like quick cobwebs inside of Maya. So I recommend, if you really need it for a project, try to add it to the budget, because this one seems to be like the best option. Blender also has some like cobwebs, and if you can export the curves, you might be able to just use it in Blender and then export to Maya. But this one right here is the one that I've seen a lot of people use for this sort of stuff. So yeah, cobwebs. Oh, 3D learner, I'm sorry to hear that you're struggling. I know it can be challenging. Like life in general is quite challenging. So, but unfortunately she doesn't speak English, so it might be a little bit difficult. Okay, so for this one, very important. Whenever you have an object, it's always important to have it as a solid object. So I'm just gonna fill this face right here. I'm gonna grab this one right here. I'm gonna give it a little bit of an inset, and then at this edge loop right here, I am gonna bevel with like 2 divisions, so that when we again add a modifier and subdivide this modifier, this is gonna look even better. So as you can see, guys, just doing very, very simple fixes, and we're already able to change how this looks. I'll show you. Look at this. This is the original one you're seeing there on the stream, and this is what we have right now. So just very simple material changes, very simple like things, and that should be more than enough. Burhanuddin, yes, you can what's the word? You can definitely do it with a PNG. It's not gonna look the same, like it's not gonna give you the same sort of like shadows and stuff, but it could be an option. There we go. So now the book. The book is one of those things that when I saw, I was like, oh, he did a good job trying to create all of the elements and the details, but the model is a very, very simple model. So we need to improve the model a little bit. If we take a look at the model, you guys are gonna see that we do have a bevel on the border, but it's a very, very simple bevel. So here's what I'm gonna do. First of all, I would like to add a little bit of detail on the spine, because the spine of the book looks really like flat right now, very, very simple. So I'm gonna go to insert edge loop, and we're gonna insert one there, and one there. And once we have that, I'm gonna insert another one right around here, and you'll see why in just a second. Now let's go solid mode. I'm gonna grab this edge loop right here, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy's right here. There we go. And we're gonna create a little bit of a like a bevel on these areas. This will definitely destroy the texture, but that's something that we're gonna be either fixing or just working with it in just a second. There we go. So if we bevel those elements, as you can see right here, what I'm gonna be able to do then is extrude this. I'm gonna extrude along normal, so that when we smooth this, we get a nice little like bind effect on the back of the element. And that's the sort of stuff that you want to add on your elements, because very often we'll have models that look good, but they're not as like professionally looking as what we could do. As you can see, the texture definitely got broken right there. It was expected, to be honest. But we get a book that looks a little bit more interesting. And here is where I like to use a technique or a method called complexity out of simplicity. So what I mean by this is, one thing that we can do is we can, for instance, grab this guys right here, bring this down, and then duplicate this, rotate it a little bit on the Z-axis, for instance. And with that, look at that, we get another book that's the exact same thing as the past book, but just adding an extra little layer there, that already makes the composition a lot more interesting, right? Because we don't need to redo everything to show people that we have something that looks really, really cool. And we can do the same thing for this. Like, I can imagine that this is some like guy or some person that is what's the word? that is like modeling this sort of things. Like he likes to model or to create this sort of like elements, and maybe he has a couple of extra elements around his office. I'm gonna rotate this on the y-axis, and that way we don't even need to do extra work, and we can already create a scene that looks interesting. Okay, this is a technique that I like to call complexity out of simplicity, which is just use simple objects like this ones and position them and play with them in such a way that you get a more interesting image. Okay, like even the little paper boat we have right here. You guys know what I mean? It's not difficult to do this. It's not difficult to create something that looks a little bit more interesting, again, without the need to model more things or create more elements. Let's take a look. So, yeah, 3 learner, as Cruz says right there, this is a little bit out of my area of expertise, and yes, my wife is a therapist, a psychologist, but this is not something that she's used to, so I would recommend that you look for other resources online. Cruz here is suggesting one called Pro Bono Therapist. Pro Bono means like they're doing it, I think it's when you decide how much you want to like pay for it or something like that. So there's a lot of like associations and stuff that will do like therapies for free, and I think that's something that you could look for. Mental health is really important. Cruz said, do you prefer Maya or Blender more? To be honest, Maya, because I've been using it for 10 years, but I've been using Blender for the past couple of years, and it's really good as well. So yeah, that's not bad. Let's see. David Sarn says, I finished your glider tutorial, Abraham. It became my PFP now. There you go, man. Oh yeah, I can see it there. I can see it. Nice. Yeah, navigation is one of the things that it takes a little while to get used to here inside of Blender. Ariane says, how ethical is it to just use Quixel Megascans in an open world environment and use it as a portfolio piece? As long as you tell people that you use Megascans, that's fine. Because there are some positions where they look for people that have good eye for like composition and stuff like that. So it's okay. However, if you want to be like an environment artist or something, you definitely need to be able to do it on your own. I have one question. Have you worked for mobile phone games or anything related to 3D work that is low poly, and how to manage that types of modeling for mobile phones that works smooth in phones? Yeah, I back in the day, let me show you. Back in like 2016. Oh, there we go. Back in 2016, I was working in this game right here. It was called Realms of Conquest, and it was a super low poly game. So the secret to low poly characters is to have the best possible high poly character that you can. And then when it comes to the retopology process, that's where you simplify as much as you can. So for instance, this guy right here only has 6,000 triangles, and it's a really complex character. It has horns and spikes and stuff like that. So you simplify as much as you can. And you need to understand that people are not going to be seeing your character at this distance. Like the game was supposed to be seen roughly at this distance. So this is how close you could get to the character. And as you can see, it looks quite nice. Like you can get away with very low poly, like poly density by using this method here. I had another one, this little magician here. Very similar process. It was a low poly game, and she was a little bit higher, 10,000 triangles. I think it was because I added like a little bit of proper topology for the face, but we could even simplify this more. And yeah, it's just about like optimizing your stuff. So it's optimizing is the secret there. Yeah, I'm definitely not as fast in Blender as with Maya. That's true. I would make the boats that are outside maybe one thing. Yeah, we can do that. Let's make this a little bit smaller. We're gonna be texturing this, guys, as well. So that's next. I think modeling wise, we're pretty much done. Like this is what I would do for my modeling of the modeling of this particular scene. This is gonna be like a table. I'm actually gonna I want to extrude it. Let's move it down. There we go. So see how nice. Again, here's the comparison. This is the original one that we have, and this is just a couple of improvements on the materials, a couple of improvements on the light. Very important. The light is super important, and that's it. Now I'm gonna create a wall. We definitely need to create a wall. So I'm gonna rotate this the x-axis. There we go. I kind of want that wall. I kind of want the wall to be close to the table, something like that. There we go. Now that we have this, guys, we can start thinking about light, like a better light scenarios to make this thing pop even more. Again, this is roughly the. Well, actually, we need to change our composition. So this is roughly the composition that we're going to be going for. Even if we cut a couple of things, that's perfectly fine. Like not having everything in frame is actually a good idea as well. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my element right here, and I'm going to bring the strength down to like a 0.5 or like a 0.2. Because usually I don't like my HDR to be the one in charge of the light in my scene. And I do this in Maya, I do this in Blender, I do this in Marmas, I do this in Unreal. Like in every single software, I don't like having my HDRI be the one that like manages or creates the whole composition. Okay. Arian says, so for trees and foliage, would you recommend speed tree? Yeah, speed tree is the best one. Yeah. For trees, yeah. For those models, manual retopo was done or ZMeasure. All of this was modeled manually. This was not my models. These are not my models. This is a work that a student was sending us, or that sent us this weekend. We took a look at this during the portfolio review, and now I'm showing how I would improve it. Do you use LinkedIn? Not a lot, to be honest. FBX size matters or poly count matters in 3D models? Of course. Of course it matters, man. Poly count is very important. Why is the new stylized character course not available in Skillshare? Where it takes a little bit different times to go through the different platforms. So sometimes we release it earlier on other platforms, but it's gonna be there soon, I promise. What is the average poly budget for AAA indie and mobile game? It depends, but usually AAA you can go all the way to like 100,000 polygons per character. For indie, I would say like 20,000, 30,000, and mobile is under 10,000. That's usually a good ballpark, depending on the platform, of course. When modeling the eyes, is it different between making female and male owls? Not really. It's very similar, actually. I would say it's very similar. Okay, so I'm gonna add a new, look, this trick is gonna be cool, guys. I think you guys are gonna like it. So I'm gonna add a new light, and it's gonna be an area light. I'm gonna scale this area light up quite a bit. And let's go to the intensity, and let's make this like 5,000 watts or something. Like really, really intense. Even more intense. I'm gonna make it even more intense in just a second. And this is gonna be like a window, okay? So the light from the sun is gonna be coming from this window. This area. We definitely need to increase it. Let's go 50,000 or 500,000, because again, it's supposed to be the sun. Okay, 500,000 might be a little bit too much. Let's do 200,000 or 100,000. That's a little bit better. And then I'm gonna go to the color, and I'm gonna go for like a warm, like orangey color. There we go. And look how nice the shadows and everything looks. Let's do a very quick render here. Look at that. So now we get this very nice soft shadow coming from this area light that's simulating a window on a room, and we're creating this very nice composition. I do want to make a couple of changes here, so I'm going to stop the render. I'm going to move this light a little bit more to the side, so that the shadow is a little bit more, it goes a little bit more towards the front. And then here's a very cool trick. We can actually model, I'm going to create a plane. We can actually model a window. So I'm gonna go to edit mode. There we go. And then I'm gonna go to face mode. I'm gonna say inset. But I'm gonna change this to individual. I'm gonna create something like this. And then we're gonna delete the faces. There we go. So we created this interesting window. We're gonna rotate it. And of course, we're gonna scale it. So what this window will do is it will add a couple of shadows into the scene. They're gonna make this more realistic. Especially, you can see there on the reflection, it's gonna break up the reflection a little bit more. This. Let's grab this guy. There we go. Now, usually, like, this is a really good light, as you can see. It's making things look quite nice. But usually, having a rim light, which is a light that's going to be bouncing from a different element, will give you a nicer effect as well. So I'm going to grab this light right here. I'm going to duplicate it, bring it to the other side, and point it to the guys over here. But I'm gonna go in this case for a warm or like a cool tone, and I'm really gonna bring this down, so it should be quite a bit less. There we go. So just like an extra bounce light. It could even be a warm light as well. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller. When you have a small light, you're gonna have sharper shadows. It's also important. So if, for instance, I want the shadows from this area to be a little bit sharper, we can just scale the light down and see how the shadows become a little bit sharper. That's the kind of stuff that we can play around with. And there we go. We get something that looks really nice. Let's take a look at the render real quick. There we go. So look at the difference, guys. And here again, we're just going through very basic, what's the word? Material and light setup. Just material and lights. We're not even changing the materials. We're using pretty much the same materials. And as you can see here, we go from this, which was a very basic render, to this one right here, which is looking a little bit more like a professional render. Okay. So now the next stage is textures, right? Like, we need to add some textures to the scene to make this even better. But I'm gonna answer some questions first. So let's go, because there's a lot here in the chat now. Let's go. So, it says, oh, okay. Cruz, if you mean the characters that I did manual retopology for those ones. C-remeasure, it's not gonna give you the optimized thing that you're looking for. Paras St. Paul asks, I don't have RTX graphics card in the laptop, so is it okay to download UE5? Yes, however, you might not be able to use all the stuff that, what's the word? All the stuff that you might need, okay? So just be mindful there. You could use wood planks texture to simulate the table. Yes, we're gonna be downloading some materials from Polyhaven in just a second, and we'll do that. Arian says, I have a request. Can you please pick the last alley environment and complete finalize it in Unreal with teaching a bit of basics? You mean the Japanese one? That might be a good idea. I just want to get familiar with Unreal. It would be great if you can explain about the software and its importance in the pipeline. If we complete the scene in Maya with lighting now, where and how we can use it to benefit the scene? Okay. Is there a way to see the face normals? Both sides look the same on that window. No, they don't. Well, I think so. I'm not sure. Yeah, there has to be a way to showcase the normals. Maybe Varjasin can help us there. Do you know the shortcut, Varjasin? Are you still there? So I forgot about that one. According to the industry, which software is used most of the time, Blender or Maya? In AAA games or big studios, Maya. but I've seen a lot of indie studios using Blender nowadays, so it's also a good option. Okay, so now we're gonna jump to Polyhaven. Let's close some of these windows. We're gonna jump to Polyhaven and we're gonna download some materials for our stuff. So one of the cool things about Polyhaven is that it actually has a lot of like generated materials and everything. So for instance, this wood table worn, I think is perfect for what we're going for. It has this very nice detail. I like the color. I think it's gonna look nice. So if we go here, you can actually download the Blender file like directly. And if you download, as long as this doesn't take so long to download, it's already set up, like everything is ready to go. So there's just one important thing here. As you can see, we have the textures and the element. These two things should be in the same folder where you're gonna have your stuff. So I'm gonna go here to next to live assets, and I'm gonna create a new one called boat improv or improve, and we're gonna paste this right here. While that thing is doing that, let's look for a wall texture. I think I want to go, I'm not sure if I want to go for bricks, to be honest, because it's a little bit too noisy. I kind of want to keep it simple. This one looks fine, stone wall. I've had this issue with okay. So for instance, we got the stone wall, and if we open it, of course, we're gonna open just a very basic like Blender scene, which has the material in it, but that's not what we want to do. Well, we can check the render here, and that's the material, as you can see, looking quite nice. But what we're gonna do, let's not save that. Well, let me see if I can copy the wood material first. No, for some reason, sometimes it kind of like freaks out. Okay. Okay, perfect. So we got a wood table here and textures. These are the wood table textures. So here we should have 8 textures. There we go. Cool. So now here, what we do is just say file, import, or in this case, append rather. And if we go to our software projects, we can just append the stuff. So here, boat. There we go. And let's start with the table, hit append. And we're gonna go to the materials and we append the material. There we go. So now we go to this table and we go to the materials. We can actually assign the wood material right here. And everything should be connected. Like if we go again to render, you're gonna see that now we have the proper wood texture on the element. We're gonna do the same for the wall. I'm just gonna say file, append. And we're gonna go to the stone wall, to the materials, and we append that one. And then on this one, we'll just select the stone wall. No! It crashed. It crashed, my friends. And I don't think I saved it. Oh my god, we lost everything. Wow. That is horrible. Wow. I lost everything, guys. I'm so sorry. I should have saved. Oh man, that's so sad. The problem is I'm gonna have to do everything again, and I don't have an hour to go over everything again. So here's what I'm gonna do, guys, because Yeah, big F, guys. That was my mistake, because I should have saved. Like at every point that you advance, you should save. But I was just trusting that this was not gonna crash. Oh my god, that's so horrible. Well, at least it's here on the live stream, so you guys can see how this thing was going. Yeah, autosave might have been a good idea as well. I don't use it as much, to be honest. I don't use autosave as much. Did I not? Oh, I did have autosave. Where is it then? I did have autosave. Recover, last session. Cover, autosave. Okay, seems like we do have an autosave, guys. Seems like we do have an autosave. Yes! Yes! There we go. Yes. Whew. Okay, let's save it. Before anything bad happens, let's save this thing. Okay, we didn't lose it. I knew I had autosaves like at some point. There we go. Okay. So let's see where were we with this. Okay, so we just need to add the materials. Yes, okay. So file. Let's just solid mode first. File, append, and we're gonna append the wood table. Material, wood table work. There we go. Let's see, file, append. We append the stone wall. Material, stone wall. There we go. Now to this one we assign the table. And to this one, we assign the stone wall. Perfect. Now, we save. And if we take the render, there we go. This is what we have. There you go. Thanks, Art Isaacs. We got it. We did recover it. So, cool. Now we have this, guys, and as you can see, it doesn't look bad. It looks really, really cool. However, the wall is very, very big. The texture of the wall is very big. So there's a couple of things we can try to do. First of all, we can try to go to shading, and if the option has this a mapping option, which in this case it does, we can actually change the scale to something like, I don't know, like 3 and 3. And what that should do is it should change how many times we're seeing the texture being repeated. And as you can see, we get this. Now the wall is trying to be displaced, which is fine, although we are not going to be using it as much. Now, if we render this, we have a nicer effect right here. Is it good to make mesh triangulated or keep it quad? You usually want to keep it as a quad mesh. However, triangles are not bad. They're like a double-edged sword, so you can get some things to work properly. Yeah, yeah, I know, Burhanuddin, I know. But we saved it. So yeah, look at this. So with this, my friends, we get something that's looking really, really cool. We have a really nice setup. And now the only thing that I would maybe like consider changing is the textures on the book and the textures on a couple of pieces, like this wood piece right there. Maybe like the paper things. Here's where I would also start considering like moving certain things around. So for instance, this one, kind of want to move it a little bit more into frame. Like right around there. I might want to have like there was like a little like fish thingy. Let's go to wireframe. This guy's right here. So I'm gonna go solid mode here. Bring this down, rotate it. Get down, there we go. Let's go to top view. I'm just gonna duplicate this, guys. Scale them a little bit. Rotate them around. And again, that sort of like little details there that are not difficult to do are gonna add more life and more like story to the whole thing, which is what we're what we're going for. Oh, there you go, man. Thank you, Lambro, for the tip. If you hold down the mouse click and go to the other parameters, they will keep the same values. Nice. Glowing fishes? No, because it's supposed to be paper, so I don't think we want glowing fishes. Now we just need to make sure that these things are not looking weird, and that they kind of like rest on the table in a believable way. Something like that. Same for this one. There we go. Now there's one thing that I want to do, and I think it's going to really help, which is depth of field. So depth of field is the option that we have to make certain things look blurred and certain things more in focus. And we can do this inside the camera. So here inside the camera, as you can see, we can activate depth of field. And I can select a specific object, such as that cylinder right there, to be the object at which we're going to have our depth of field. Now, if we render, as you can see, certain things might start looking a little bit more blurred out. Although I do think I need to activate one more thing first. Let's go here. So let me just remember. Let's go here. We are on the thing there. Let's go with a really low, like f-stop, like a 0.5. Is that working? Yes, Ariad, we're gonna be doing the Unreal pipeline. Don't worry. I have the Lighthouse project that we didn't finish last year, and I wanna recover that, or I wanna go back with that one because I thought that was a really cool project. Should be that one. Let's try this. Three Learner says, can you please give me some advice that how should I learn 3D because I'm lost in the zone of overthinking and not enjoying it? You need to start thinking and you need to start doing, okay? So if you don't know how to get to a pro level, don't worry, just think about what the next step is. Like maybe do this bottle and do this little paper boat, and that might be something that gets you going, because you need to start doing. If you just stop on the overthinking stage, it can get very tiring, and you're not gonna improve. You need to do. Okay, the best way to get over like those like creative blocks is just to do things. Okay, volumetrics, yeah, volumetrics might be an interesting thing, but I don't think we're gonna have time today to do that. But maybe I'll do another extra video later on. Actually, I'm gonna do something here real quick, guys. And I know this is not the easiest or the best thing to do, but I'm just gonna do this in a more traditional way. I'm gonna bring this into Photoshop and then just give it a couple of last minute additions, okay? Because we're about to finish our live stream, and I need to go back and continue working on the newest course. So once we have this image right here, we can save. I'm gonna save it on the desktop for now. Save this as a boat. There we go. And if we open Photoshop, we can add just like a quick vignette and stuff like that. So, if you have any more questions, guys, before we finish, we're about to finish in probably like 5 minutes or so. This is the time. Shoot your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. I'm also thinking about doing some what's the word? Some marvelous designers this week. Boat. There we go. So let's compare, guys. This was the original boat by Bonti Somaya. This is what he submitted on the portfolio review, and without changing any textures yet. We haven't changed the textures. We just did light and composition. We got this, and we immediately get a scene that looks a little bit more, you know, interesting. How to remove the hard reflection light? If you go here into the light options, I believe you can go to some properties. There has to be some property here that you can change the reflection, or you can go to the glass as well and change like what kind of like information you're getting. I don't like doing that because that breaks the way like the like things work in the world. So you're creating things that are not physically accurate, but it is possible to do it. So here, let's go with a very basic soft round brush. And we'll just do a nice vignette on the bottom part. Very soft. Very soft vignette here. Here's where some of you guys were saying, and this is where post-production really comes into play. Because if you don't know how to do something in 3D, or you don't have time to do something in 3D, you can do it in 2D, as long as it's an image. And it'll work. See that? Just a very, very small thing. One thing I like to do, I don't know why, but it makes things look a little bit more cinematic, which is like the letterbox. Maybe some like grain. That's another thing that you can try. I think grain tends to be a little bit too much, but for specific things, it might not be a bad idea. And this is like the dirty way to do it, like the cheap and dirty way to do it. But sometimes it works. For this quick demo, I think it's not a bad idea. There we go. So again, we can compare. This is what we had. This was the original start for this project, and this is the new one. Not bad, right? Yeah, I definitely need to clean up my desktop, man. I definitely need to clean it up. Let's see. We'd like to see some Ghibli style environment. I was looking for it, but couldn't find a good resource for Maya. I'll look into it because that's not something that I do like normally. Can you do hand-painted material tutorial or courses? Yes, we can work on that. We'll do just such lives again, improving 3D scenes. It's so cool. Yes, we're gonna be doing this. I think this is a good exercise. I would need your scenes, like not specifically yours. If you want to submit, that's fine. But I'm gonna be asking for scenes from you guys, and if you guys send me scenes or characters or stuff like that, I can go over them and tell you how we can improve them. The next portfolio review is going to be on April, Balaji. The link is on the last video on the channel. You can check it out. It's open for submissions, so you can submit your stuff already. Yeah, there you go, man. That's the idea. Like, we want to improve these things and make it look as nice as possible with as little work in this case. I try to make it as simple as possible. And you can see that's not something like, even if we add the letterbox to this one, I think it's not something that you guys couldn't do, and that's my main goal. Like, just by changing the perspective, by changing how you see things and how you present things, you can get something to look a lot better. Now, this was only 1 hour of work. If I was working on this, I would probably work for like, I don't know, like a full day, 8 hours to get this as nice as possible, add the dust on the bottles, add the displacement on the water, change the texture on the books, change the texture on the boats, add scratches on the table. Like, there's so many things that we can do. Add some maybe cobwebs, as we were mentioning, some like spider webs everywhere. Like, there's a lot of things that we can do to make this even better. However, for a quick little live stream today, I think this is not looking bad, right? More says, how often do you do lives? We have a live every single Monday at 9:30 a.m. like this one. But I've been doing some surprise live streams throughout the week as well. So if you want to catch all of them, make sure you hit the little like and subscription button down here, and you'll get the notification when we go live for this sort of like exercises. We'll probably, I can't promise it, but we're probably gonna have one more live stream on Thursday. Okay, so Thursday is another day where I can normally have a live stream, and we'll do that just to keep growing. Our goal is to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's see if we can get there. We're almost at 35,000 subscribers. So any comment, any like, any share, all that stuff, guys, it's really, really, really good. It helps us a lot with the whole thing. Mamta Patil says, I have model bike. Can I send you so you can show how to render it at its best quality? Yeah, sure, Mamta, you can send it to me. My email, I've shared this before. It's Critical Hit Academy at gmail.com. Okay, so if you send me the file over there, I'll be happy to take a look at it. Okay, so yeah, I can go over that, Arian. I can go over that. What is the difference between white and black mask? Black mask covers, white mask shows. You can work with either as long as you get the result that you're looking for. Please tell me budget level graphics tablet with monitor. I have this one and I strongly recommend it. It's the Huion 16 Canvas. I got the 2021 version, so this one right here. It's 8,000 pesos, which is like $400, and this is a great pen display. Again, I strongly recommend this one. There are some of them that are a little bit cheaper and a little bit smaller as well. So for instance, this one, the Huion 13, which is a little bit smaller. This is only like $300. If you want to go for a display tablet, I've been using Huion and I've really enjoyed it so far. So I would probably recommend those. Well, cool, my friends, that's it. I'm gonna stop the live stream right here. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone for being here. 3D Learner, I know that it can be really challenging, and I know you're not the only one. Everyone goes through the same sort of like thoughts. However, again, it's important that you have a goal. Go for a goal this week, 3D Learner. Like, pick a project, a small project that you're gonna be doing this week, and do it. And that is gonna get you closer and closer to your goal. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be here with you. Hopefully you guys have a great week. This is going to be a busy week for me. We're going to have more videos here on the channel. We're going to have more content. So make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe so that you guys know when we upload more stuff. And that's it, my friends. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.